Oh, here's the Grizzlies. So they gave a B minus with, you know, D'Anthony Milton leaving, Slow Mo leaving. They gave John Conchar and John Morant and Tyus Jones all extensions. They brought in Danny Green. They also drafted Jake LaRavia, David Roddy. I believe they also got Kenneth Lofton, Kennedy Chandler, and I think it's Vince Williams was the other guy they brought on a two-way. And they still have a plethora of options, but this team basically very much the same with like 4 or 5 rookies. What do you give them? I think they got a B plus. I think a B minus is underscoring it because I think the team's a lot better.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of moving D'Anthony Melton. He was, especially Kyle Anderson, because part of the reason why the Grizzlies were so good last season is because those guys were top 10 in steals and coming off the bench. Or well, actually, Anderson started some games, but when fully healthy, those two guys are coming off the bench. But yeah, I think a B minus is fair, just because they didn't really do too much. Like Tyus Jones, I'm glad they brought him back. Like if they didn't do that, dude, we'd be talking about in the C territory. I'm glad they were able to do that. But yeah, I mean, John Conchar, I remember he had, what was it, end of the season, it was like a meaningless game, but I'm pretty sure he had was it a 30-point triple double, or so he had like a
Yeah,
crazy game, yeah, at the end of the season. But yeah, Steven Adams, Dylan Brooks, Brandon Clark, yeah, I guess we'll wait and see what happens with them. But I do like the rookies that they brought in, especially Lofton. Reminds me a lot of Zach Randolph. He's a big boy.
big boy.
Yeah,
And then
he's
David Roddy. Is there going to be like PJ Tucker? I'm just excited for. It's going to be time for. I think Brandon Clark's more of their future center. I think the only one who's going to get an extension is Brandon Clark. I think Steven Adams and Dylan Brooks and Danny Green, they're just going to either trade by the deadline or let their contracts just expire, because I think they want to replace Dylan Brooks with either Zaire Williams or, one of the younger guys they drafted. While Steven Adams, we saw how useless he was in the playoffs. I think Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson as a future front court's good. But I think Santi Aldama, Xavier Tillman, Kelly and Tilly, I think Jake LaRavia, and who else? I think that's all and Kenneth Lofton will all fight for the minutes that Jaren Jackson will give up until he's not going to come back till December.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting to see. I personally think Santi Aldama is going to be that guy for them this year and shock people with Brandon Clark taking over the starting center role, with Steven Adams and Brandon Clark basically switching off as the starting center depending on the matchup, because Brandon Clark's just more switchable. And I don't know. I think I personally think it's a B plus, because what they did was they instilled their belief that the young guys are going to take over for Kyle Anderson, and that, either Kennedy Chandler, I believe, who else is like their guards? Kennedy Chandler, Tyus Jones, John Conchar, Desmond Bain. I guess you would Zaire Williams, you could play some shooting guard. All those guys are going to be able to take over D'Anthony Milton's role. I just think they're like instilling the belief that the young guys will develop and take the jump. I think that's why I would give it a better.
I think that's retarded.
Yeah,
Really?
I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't even like him. I guess I get the. I think B minus is extremely generous. I guess maybe it's because of Ja. As Swaggy was saying, Tyus Jones is like. I mean, that was huge, dude. Tyus Jones is probably the best backup. Weren't you saying that? Like, he's probably the best backup point.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. They actually kind of are better without Ja, but it's not because of Ja. It's just because Tyus Jones is so damn good at moving the ball.
I wouldn't go as far as like I think they're like that they should trade Ja anytime soon, but I don't like they're very they just got the second seed. I don't think that their roster improved at all. If anything, it got significantly worse.
It did not improve.
So
Grizzly fans don't like
Kyle Anderson, Melton. I mean, those were two big pieces, especially defensively. If Jaren Jackson can ascend to a star, which I think he can, but I mean, you're missing him for a fat chunk. They just need somebody else. I don't know what they're. I guess you want to value continuity, but you also just had a 50-win season. You had the second most wins in the league. You're the second seed. You could have beat the Golden State Warriors. Like, I don't get why they think they're better.
I think they got bigger.
Unless, you're really hoping that you're.
I think
they got bigger in what way?
because I
Kenneth
think
Lofton's not going to have any impact at all.
no,
this
they
whole
basically they drafted besides Kenny Chandler all bigs basically, but I think as the NBA moves away, like most NBA teams run one guard and then 2 to 3 wings with a center, like and I think they're gonna try to
that's
run. What do
These
you
are
mean?
all rookies.
No, but I think
Who's helping them
three
this season
guys-
that they drafted?
the 3 guys that they're gonna run at shooting guard and small forward, I think is gonna be a rotation, or 4 guys. Is the first 3 guys, Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bain, are going to be the starting shooting guard and small forward, with Danny Green bouncing between the shooting guard and small forward backup roles, with Zaire Williams doing trade. They got him a first round pick for taking on Danny Green's expiring contract.
But they just won 50 plus games, man. What are they?
Danny Green's a
for?
3 and D. What?
Danny Green is garbage.
Won
Danny
3
Red.
championships and with 3 separate teams
15 years ago.
And he's a veteran for this young Grizzlies team.
That is true.
I like Danny Green.
Their oldest. Okay, so maybe the case is then that their oldest player last season was 28. They were by far exceeded expectations, so they're kind of like, not like what the Knicks did, but they're thinking, all right, like, yeah, we just got the 2 seed, but you know, we want to value this continuity. We still want to like grow up our home roster. Like, we still want to grow our draft picks and who we want to develop and progress these players.
So what's their record next year, or what's your prediction, Swaggy? Still a 50-win team, or are they a top 5 seed?
All right, before I answer that, let me just say this. So in the regular season last year, the Grizzlies, they swept the Warriors, and they would have beat them if Ja didn't get injured, just so everyone knows. Just want to get that out of the way. But yeah, I think record-wise, they'll win over 50 games for sure. I don't think they'll be the 2nd seed again, being honest, but no one's going to want to play this team, dude, especially because Taylor Jenkins is one of the youngest and just best coaches in the league. And yeah, never count out a Memphis team, dude. They've still got that grit and grind to them, but also with a much better offense. So yeah, that's pretty much where I have them.
Yeah, I love that grit and grind quote, because I always say this is like the modern grit and grind with some pace and space put into it. Like, they play with like such like an edge.
I have a hot take, Swaggy. Close your ears. Ja Morant will never win a championship. Never. No way.
Are you one of those people who believes athletic point guards can't win championships?
I love athletic point guards, but they can't win, and they never have ever in the history of basketball. Tell me the most athletic point guard to win a ring.
Derrick Rose. Nah.
Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas is not athletic.
No, like Isaiah Thomas, Pistons Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, would you compare Isaiah to D Rose, Russ, and Ja? I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I guess. But he was an athletic point guard of his time.
Yeah, but he wasn't what these guys are now.
Wait, hold on. Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So you guys know how Ja got injured, obviously, against the Warriors, right?
Yeah, the knee.
Yeah. So before he went down with that injury, he made more threes in that series than Clay and Curry. So he's not just athletic. Yeah, that's a true stat.
What was his shooting percentage?
It was at least like 40%.
Oh, okay. Word.
Yeah.
Ja was shooting well in the playoffs. I just think Ja's whole thing is Johnny, like, he's not he can pass the ball, but he's not an elite passer. Like, Tyus Jones is a way better passer than Ja.
Yeah.
And I know you can teach someone to be a better passer, but can you teach someone how to have better vision? You know?
I'm not too worried.
No, not really.
Ja.
That's the one thing I think why Ja.
I don't. Sorry.
I think no. I was just gonna say is, like, I've told Jackson this. I think he should follow the Chris Paul route. If you look at Chris Paul was always a better passer, but people forget Chris Paul when he was on the Hornets. He was literally like Ja Morant, like Derrick Rose, like an athletic dunking. Old Chris Paul was an athletic, like young Chris Paul was an athletic.
Ja has a 44-inch vertical.
I'm not listening to comparisons of Chris Paul and John Morant.
I want to see
today.
what
You can't do it.
I don't look
As far as athleticism goes. I think yeah, that's just my issue is longevity. We've never really. I don't worry about Ja as a player at all. I just don't know how you win with athletic point guards. I think if that's just a me thing though. Like if I was building a team, I wouldn't want a Ja. I'd want a Chris Paul. I'd want a facilitator. I'd want a playmaker, which I guess Ja is. But like I don't know. I want a pass first, proto stereotypical John Stockton type point guard.
Over the guy that's going to give you 30 a night.
Yeah. And then also trash talk when you just lost. So yeah.
38.5
I'm all
inch
set
vertical
with
Chris
Ja.
Paul coming out of college.
If Ja was on my favorite team, I'd love that man to death.
I wouldn't take Luka over Ja. No
Really?
way.
I would take Luka over Ja.
Ja, there's just something different about Ja, dude. Like he wants it more than anyone. From someone that watches him every day.
I
Tell him
love
to stop eating
Doncic.
McDonald's, but I guess Luka does the same.
I've already talked about this. I just think another thing, Ja. I know this is like this. You know, there's no problem drinking alcohol or anything, but Ja posts a lot of like him just
It's just like
boozing.
young.
Yeah.